Hey guys, it's Sarah and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So some of you really liked my video on a good Feng Shui hotel room versus a bad Feng Shui hotel room on my trip in Beijing and asked me to do more. So in this video, I'm gonna give you guys a full-on Feng Shui lesson combined with a little house tour of my house right here in the former French concession in Shanghai, China. Do you believe in Feng Shui? Do you even know what it is? What do you think it is? Let me know in the comments below. I wanna know. We're gonna start with my living room, which is where I'm sitting in right now. So you've probably seen that a lot of Chinese love to have gold and marble and shiny stuff. And it is kind of true. I mean, you do want these elements, just like in the West, right? How Versailles has a lot of gold and marble and other stuff. But you do want some elevated, beautiful, ornate finishings that will help elevate your house and therefore elevate your chi. So you can see over here, I have this beautiful mirror that I bought on auction at Tours, which is this antique auction house in Paris. I mean, technically speaking, in terms of antiques, you want to be really careful Feng Shui wise because this mirror is like almost 100 years old. So, you know, my uncles who really also believe in Feng Shui, they said, oh, be careful, you need to clean it. Otherwise it will have the spirit and energy and chi of the previous owners. And if the previous owners were like happy and had a good life, then they're giving good chi to you. But if let's say that previous owner went bankrupt or, you know, there was some tragedy that happened, that's bringing a lot of yin energy into your house and you don't want that. When I bought it, I just hung it up. And when my uncles were saying, oh, careful, Sarah, if you look into the mirror, you might see a different reflection, I freaked out and immediately called my Feng Shui master and said, clean my antiques. So in addition to this antique, I also have over here this really charming chair. And you can see, I mean, this is, actually I had this reupholstered. So, you know, a pop of bright colors not only just helps your mood, but also, you know, I mean, for me, red, purple are good colors for me because they're warm colors and you really kind of need to know your ba zi. Ba means 8, zi means characters. So this includes so there are 8 Chinese characters that show your date of birth, so your year, month, date of birth, and your time of birth. And from there, you can calculate all these things, whether you should be having more metal or more wood or more water and what colors in your house. Oh yes, let's take a look over here at my living room table, which is by Poltrona Frau. And you will see over here that actually in Chinese Feng Shui, we do not like to have sharp corners. So as much as possible, we try to have these rounded, smooth corners. And this really is like, I mean, Asians love this kind of stuff. So this creates for good harmony in my house. Okay, now let's take a look at some of the artwork in my house. Over here, I used to have hanging here a big artwork that had all these, it was like all these magazine covers, and each magazine cover had different people. So it almost had like 60, 70 little people over here, which when my Feng Shui master came into my house said, ooh, this needs to go because 招小人. 招小人 means little people, which really just means like people that are bad for you, like, you know, not good energy people. And having a big artwork with lots of different people in it will attract a lot of little people's energy into your home, which you definitely do not want. So immediately I swapped it out, and you can see over here, I mean, this is actually a beautiful piece by a Chinese female artist called Cui Jie that I collected a few years ago. Me and my Russian bestie actually bought like 2 works from, you know, the same series. This is actually 国际饭店 in Beijing, so it's like Beijing International Hotel or something. But it's a really old, it's been around for decades, and it's an icon in Beijing. And she actually studied architecture, so you'll see really architectural elements. And what my Feng Shui master said about this, because I sent over a couple options of her works, my Feng Shui master said, this is good because it's like 3 women holding hands. So it's about female empowerment, harmony, women helping women. It's good that the women also, the people are more abstract. So, you know, they're not too real and human-like, which, you know, will bring other energy into your house. Oh, so this is really fun. A lot of my friends, you know, some people, my Chinese friends that know Feng Shui, they're like, oh, that's a 沉浮是吧? Some of my friends that don't know Feng Shui think this is like a work of art, but actually this is full-on Feng Shui. And so what you do, my dad, when he came to visit me, because, you know, my house is in the French concession, it's obviously an old house. A lot of history has happened in Shanghai over the years. And so obviously, you know, lots of people lived here that don't live here anymore or don't live anymore. And therefore their spirits are kind of, you know, hanging out. And my dad said, I brought you this 沉浮that you can use whenever you feel that there are spirits around. And what you should do is you should do this. This is actually made of horsetail hair, and basically as soon as I feel like, oh, there's some kind of weird energy in the house, I should do this. it gets rid of any kind of ghosts, right? So we talk about yin and yang, right? You've seen that little circle of yin and yang. Yang is the male, yang is the sun, yin is the female, yin is the moon. So, you know, human energy is the yang and ghosts are the yin. How many times have I used this? This is probably the first time I used it this year, just to show you guys on screen. But I just hang it up here. It's a good luck charm. And my dad carries one. All of our cars, he puts one in his office, in different rooms. Sometimes he even carries it around. Yeah, that's my dad for you. Especially if he goes to hospitals and if he goes to temples, because those are traditionally the places with the most yin energy. And he has different chenfus that he carries around with him. Okay, so over here, you can see I have these little side tables. They're also round, so nice and smooth and round. And then up here, we have this hanging light. So this works in my house because I have high ceilings. And actually, I feel that this part of Chinese Feng Shui also kind of matches with Western home decor. But you know, you want high ceilings. And really, if you have a low ceiling, you don't want to be hanging anything because that just creates pressure on you. It doesn't feel good. It's, you know, in Chinese we call it yayi, right? So because I have a high ceiling, it's okay to hang this hanging thing. And actually, it's very light. So for example, you never want something hanging, and we'll see when we go to the bedroom, you don't want anything hanging over your body when you're sleeping or if you're sitting down, really. Because it creates pressure, it may cause joint pain or illnesses on your body. So this is okay because it's a high ceiling and you know it's very light. Ta-da! This is here. All right, guys, I'm gonna give you 3 simple tips for each room and make sure you're writing them down. Living room. Declutter, air it out. Open the windows, open the balcony at least 9 minutes a day. 9 is a very auspicious number in Chinese Feng Shui. And thirdly, add green plants. Living green plants are the easiest way to bring new living energy and qi into your living room. And what to do if a plant dies? Get rid of it immediately. Dead plants, dried plants, a huge no-no. They suck up your energy, they weaken your energy. And if you replace it and that plant dies again, replace it again. Keep replacing it until the plant no longer dies, because when the plant dies, it's actually helping you get rid of negative energy. It's taking one for the team. All right, now Feng Shui for the study. First of all, you guys can probably see I have this really cute little garden, which is accessible from the living room and from the study. So let's check it out. And I have my little cats. Sushi. Sushi. Hey, Sushi. How are you, Sushi? Hey. Okay. So Sushi is a garden cat, and cats are a sign of prosperity in Chinese Feng Shui. So they're called, in fact, you've probably seen those little stores that have these little cats that do this in the entrance, and they're called 招财猫. 招财 means attracting money, and Mao means cat. This is my little 招财猫. In fact, I have 2 of them. One is called Tigger, and that was my neighbor's cat gave birth to these little kittens in my garden. One of them was Tigger, and then the litter after her little brother is Sushi. And I call Sushi Sushi because he likes to roll up inside Tigger. I don't know where Tigger's now, but at least Sushi's here. So these are my money cats. They bring me good money. And so over here, you know, I have a good sized little garden. It's about, yeah, like 600 square feet or so. Oh, and I bought this for my money cats. This I bought on Taobao for like 60, 70 US dollars. I mean, it's a little house. They have an indoor, you know, they have here and they have a rooftop. So my money cats are happy. And so that's why, you know, if you ever come across cats, it's always, Chinese people always like to feed cats. I mean, there are so many unwanted cats around Shanghai and I'm sure other places that I actually had mine neutered and stayed, so they don't keep continuing to procreate. But, you know, they're very happy here and they give me so much joy, and every time I think of them, I think, you guys better bring me money. So now is my study. My office is actually 300 meters away from my house, so I'm really lucky. I have a 4-minute commute by walk to work. But when I am at home, I spend most of my time in this room. Now, one little thing about this room, I mean, so it's, first of all, it's amazing because I get all of the morning sunlight because this is facing east, and it's really an enclave. So in Chinese, we say 闹中取静 is really the ideal kind of home. 闹 is busy, 中 is in the middle, 取静 means, you know, being quiet. So to have a little hidden oasis in the middle of a really busy metropolis, that is actually the best feng shui for a home. It's not really living far out where there's no 人气, which means, you know, because the farther out you go in a suburb, then there's like less people, so there's less people energy. And the point is you want a lot of energy, you want a lot of people. 闹中取静, and that's really what this is. I mean, I'm in the heart of Shanghai, bustling city, in the French concession, former French concession, which is the place to be right now. But when you walk down my lane, and in a minute I'll show you guys a little bit of my lane, this is literally like an oasis, and it's so peaceful and quiet. So one little thing about my study is that usually you want rooms to be enclosed, right? So they have doors so your energy, your chi, your energy doesn't escape. Well, let me show you this. My study opens out onto my bedroom, which there is a door, so we can close that up. Close that up for camera now. But there's also, you know, this, and then actually this is kind of like, it's not an enclosed room. So my study's not enclosed, which does mean that, you know, some energy, some chi can leak out of here. So actually there was a year's worth of time where I, according to one Feng Shui master's advice, I actually put a board here and I would move the board every time I went in and out, but it was just way too annoying. I was like, whatever. So over here anyway, this is a really nice space. And again, I have, you know, my antique table that I bought off of auction in Paris, which yes, I had it cleansed. Red is actually good for me. So, you know, red, purple is good for me. And so that's why you'll see even my desk has, you know, a red undertaking. And then I like to match gray with red. So I think the two go very well together. So this is just kind of like a little home design aspect. And yes, it is a little bit messy. So another important thing is that when you sit, whether at a dining table or whether at your study table, you should always have your back to the wall. And because that means it's like 靠山, so you want to have a mountain behind you that's safe and secures you. Because if, you know, if a lot of people would maybe sit this way, and then you have your back to the door, which causes a sense of insecurity, you know, whether this door or that door, because it causes a sense of insecurity because you don't know who, you can't see who can come into the room, and you don't know what's going on, you're facing a wall. So that's why you always want to have, you know, sitting like this. And so this way, I have my back against this and I'm looking out and I can see everything. I can see both doors. Now, let me show you another little secret. This is actually, yes, it's very messy. It's like a messy, this is actually a window, but it's really awful because you can see like the aircon ventilators and other stuff there. So you definitely want to close that up, which is why I put this down here. And because you don't want to have your back against a window either. That also creates a sense of insecurity. And oh, this is really fun. Oh yeah, oh, by the way, you want to have books, right? Books are good feng shui. Wine bottles are good feng shui. We'll get to that when we go to the dining room. And cigars are good feng shui because they're a sign of like expensive products are good feng shui basically. So this is really fun. This is called a hulu. And this was a gift from a very dear friend of mine, actually from a student. It's to bring me good business luck. Okay, so this is red. Red in feng shui, we believe, you know, wards off spirits and attracts good energy. And this hulu, this shape is a sign of prosperity as well. Kind of like a woman's body, if she's curvy, she's fertile. Same thing for Chinese. So over here I have an artwork by Tian Jiahua, who is a female artist. She's based in Hangzhou. I just love her work. I mean, this is really moody. So this is blue, which is, you know, blue and black are basically the equivalent of water elements. So, you know, I did think twice about hanging it here because you don't want to necessarily pour water on your business. You want to bring fire to it. But since, you know, I have red and, you know, some blue, it's okay, they balance each other out. But I love Tian Jiahua's paintings because she feels that the pace of life is too quick right now. She wants us to slow down through her artwork. So you'll see this little, almost like a lightning bolt, and we can come up close and take a look at it. It's like a lightning bolt, and she wishes that through her artwork that you're caught in this 2D kind of, you know, you're caught between two realms and you slow down, which really, when I look at it, it really makes me calm and slow down. Oh, and of course, here is my Harvard Business School degree, which has slid down somehow. And actually the other day, a friend of mine said, is that artwork? I was like, no, it actually just slid down and I have yet to fix it. Oh, 这个也可以拍一下。I want to share this little thing. My housekeeper in Beijing gave it to me. My housekeeper was with me for 7-8 years, from 2012 to 2019 in Beijing, until I fully moved over to Shanghai. And so, you know, this says 出入平安. 出 is out, 入 is enter. So, you know, in and out. 平安 means peace. And again, you can see it's red and gold, which are very auspicious colors. And so the idea is you hang it on a door. So I decided to hang it on my bedroom door. 3 tips for the study room. Tip 1, declutter, declutter, declutter. Tidy desk, tidy mind. Number 2, do not sit with your back facing the door because that will give you a sense of insecurity and uneasiness. You want to be in that commanding position where you can see the door from where you're sitting. Tip 3, the shape of your study desk should be square or rectangular. That's right. This is the one situation where Feng Shui recommends you to have sharp corners. And the reason for this is 谈生意的时候我一定要方桌. So when you're discussing business, when you're doing work, you need to have a square, straight table. If it's social, right, chit chat, blah, 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 relaxing, then you can have your round table or rounded corners. And actually, I adhere this to my business meetings too. Whenever I meet somebody and I know we're gonna be talking business, I'll never have it at a low table in a living room area. I'll always move it to the dining area or with, square table, rectangular table to discuss business and get work done. And now we're gonna go check out Feng Shui for the bedroom. All right, so firstly, you will see that actually my bedroom is almost like a cave, and you really don't want the bedroom to be too bright because it should be a place of rest. It should not be too strong and yang, otherwise you won't rest well. So I have over here, this is my bedroom. I have a lot of closet space. Over there I have my makeup counter, which we can look at from the side. It's actually very messy, so we're not gonna go do a close-up of there. And then over on this side is my ensuite bathroom. And in fact, when I'm in my shower, I can look out onto my garden. Now, it's very important Feng Shui wise that, because my toilet is actually on this side, so there's like water pipes on this side. So therefore, you never want to have your headboard against the wall where the other side of the wall is a flushing toilet or, a basin or sink, because it drains every time it flushes or every time something goes down the sink. It's also draining your qi and energy, pulling it down and flushing it down the drain. So that's why you'll see my headboard is actually against the other side of the wall. So yeah, so the other side, there's no flushing anything to drain away my qi to give you restful sleep. So this is kind of a Feng Shui no-no, but I had no choice. You do not want a door to open out onto your bed in Feng Shui, because onto any side of the bed. So that's why I installed this curtain, which kind of, removes the door. But what you really don't want is, let's say if you're lying down on your bed, to be facing the door. So for example, if I were lying down on my bed here, I definitely do not want to have my feet facing the door, because that's how back in the old days, when someone passed away, you would put their corpse ready to be carried out of the house with their feet facing the door. So definitely a no-no. So you'll see over here, I have nothing hanging down. Some people will have lights, kind of fixtures hanging down over the bed. You definitely do not want that, because whatever body part your hanging fixture is directly covering, then you're gonna have illnesses, or it's gonna be like bad for the joints on that part of the body. And so even here, you see I have a slight beam over here. So that's why, my bed actually is not right up against the wall. It's a couple inches out because I want to avoid that beam being over my head. And over this side, you'll see, there is also a beam, and that's also, I really don't want to have my head over here, because it's like extra pressure on my head. It's uneven pressure on my head. Remember, Feng Shui is all about balance. 金木水火土, right? Metal, fire, wood, water, and earth, right? So similarly, right, ideally we have a more even ceiling where it's even pressure. Now, all right, let's take a look at this. Ta-da-da-da. Okay, so this is like part of my shoe collection. I still have a walk-in closet on that side with more shoes. But firstly, we designed this so you never want to have shoes out in the open, and you want to have them closed up, because if you have shoes out, especially by the entrance, it also attracts little people, bad energy people into your life. So definitely want to have them tucked away. One fun little design trick I did with this is that on the side, you'll see it's actually mesh, so that way the shoes can breathe. Also very important. And you'll see, because again, red is good for me, I have two types of red chairs, a bright red chair over there, and then over here, a sort of darker red velvety sofa, which is, just helps like ground me in red. And one thing is that you want to have symmetry for a bedroom. And so you'll see, sort of the bedside tables and the lamps are symmetrical, and you never want to have a bed that is squished up against one side of the wall. Especially with single beds, sometimes you put kids' beds like by the wall. No, because you want to have breathing space on both sides of the bed. So you ideally want to have enough space where you can get off on both sides of the bed, and therefore you won't, your qi won't feel squished up against the wall. Now, another thing for the bedroom is that your headboard should be against a proper solid wall. Do not have your headboard against a window, right? If you're sleeping and then there's like a window behind you, no. Because again, it doesn't give you restful sleep, or unless you close up the window, right, with like a frame or something. You could close up the window, but don't have an open window and sleep with your back towards it. Another thing is that you should not hang any kind of glaring or non-restful artwork in your bedroom. I actually had an artwork in my bedroom that was a little bit dark, and it did give me the creep sometimes at night. So you'll notice actually I have zero artwork now in my bedroom. The most I'd put is maybe something soothing, something absolutely abstract, muted colors. That's good, that's restful. You don't want bright glaring, orange, shocking pink or anything, because that is not restful. 3 tips for the bedroom. 1, never hang a mirror that reflects the bed. Why? Because if you're in a relationship, this will cause somebody to cheat. Yes, I know what you're gonna say. Even if there is not a mirror that's reflecting the bed, somebody could still cheat, yes. But still, better safe than sorry. Number 2, you never want to sleep facing a door, right? Because that's the coffin position. Back in the day in China, when people passed away and their corpse was laid out ready to be carried out of the house, they were positioned with their feet facing the door. So you definitely don't want to be in that position when you're sleeping on your bed. And also, you don't want to be facing a bathroom door, because in Feng Shui, bathrooms are a place where energy leaves the house. So if you can't do anything about it, just keep the bathroom door closed. And 3rd tip, the bedroom you sleep in should not be too big. There's a saying in Chinese that one of my Feng Shui masters told me, which is 越市中心越好, means the more centrally located, the better it is. You don't really want to be out in the suburbs because there's less people. So less people means less energy, right? When you're in the city, it's a lot of people energy, which is good for your energy too, right? So you want to be centrally located. Number 2, 房子越大越好. So the bigger the apartment, the better, right? Because that's it shows wealth. But thirdly, 你的卧室一定要小. Your bedroom needs to be small. That's because when you sleep, you don't want your energy to dissipate away. You want your energy to be cozy, right? You want to feel rested and reinvigorated. If you have too big of a bedroom, you're not going to feel reinvigorated. You're not going to feel well rested. So actually, for a while, I was even sleeping in my guest bedroom because my bedroom's actually pretty spacious and my guest bedroom is small and cozier. So there was a year where I was actually sleeping in my guest bedroom. So let's take a look at the entrance of my house, which, let's go out here. Okay, so you'll see this is my little lane, and oh, here's a delivery guy, and this is my little entrance. This is actually really good feng shui because there's no kind of crazy staircases or, a lot of these old houses in the French concession have really dark entries. A couple of my neighbors have really dark entries. That's not good feng shui. So, 大大方方, 大大气气, big steel door, right? And this allows wealth and prosperity to come on in. And then also what I have here is I have a little doormat that says 平安, which means peace. And so everybody who steps in and enters my house will be at peace. So originally with this house, this is the kitchen, that's the dining area, and it was all open. There were none of these walls. It was just like one space, which you definitely do not want. In Chinese feng shui, you always want to have a clear delineation of space, and especially with the kitchen, because it's important for the kitchen to have a lot of qi, to have your qi that contained. You don't want it to dissipate. And I know, for example, when I was living in New York after college, after I graduated from Georgetown, the thing to have in New York was like a Tribeca loft, right? Like one big, huge space, and it was like so cool. And back then, I mean, I wasn't observing feng shui as much, and I thought it was really cool too. But actually, the worst thing you can have for your qi is one big loft space, but there are no cozy nooks or no ways to contain your energy. And so the kitchen's very important. Oh, and in fact, recently, a few years ago, I visited a really good girlfriend of mine in New York. She had just moved to a like a $5 million US huge loft in Tribeca. But as soon as she moved in there, a bunch of things happened. Her relationship didn't go very well. She ended up getting divorced. Her health wasn't very good. When I walked into her place, I mean, it was a huge place and she didn't have very much furniture at all. I was like, you need to fill this place up because your chi's dissipating. So, kitchen's very important to have a closed kitchen from an energy and chi perspective. So that's why I immediately filled up with this wall to close up my kitchen. And at the same time, it's become storage. So at the same time, you can see, right, I mean, I have some wine glasses, you can hang stuff, slippers, Chinese boys like slippers, and then shoes can go here. So there are actually two places where you can keep your shoes. And again, this is because the last thing you want is a lot of shoes around the entryway, which 招小人 attracts little people, which is bad energy for you. And so that way it stays nice and tidy. So then I put in this wall in addition to that wall so that the dining space, feels more like its own private space. I also don't like it when guests can see the kitchen from the dining area because the kitchen's always really messy. My housekeeper's, running around in it. So that's why this blocks their view. And so over here, solid, good quality wood, round or rectangular. Yes, I know I have some corners on my dining table. You want to have an even number of seats. So you can see me right right now I have 4 chairs, but actually in total I have 6. These are Portrait Frau. These really kind of brighten up my day. The dining room should have a lot of natural sunlight, which mine does. You don't want it to be, you know, too dark. You don't want it to be too bright. So I just like this little small pop of color. Everything else is pretty muted. And you want to have a mirror reflecting against the dining table because this brings even more prosperity into your life. This, a lot of people come into my house, they sit here, they ignore it, they're like, oh, it just must be a photo of Sarah's lips. But I'm not that vain. This is actually an all pencil drawing by Zhang Shujian, a very young male Chinese artist, and he drew his lover's lips. So it's really amazing when you see, you know, I mean, there's a little bit of reflection on it now, but I mean, you should be able to see the gloss effect of his lover's lips. And this is a 1.5 meter by 1 meter drawing, and I collected it in 2012 when I graduated from Harvard Business School and moved to Beijing. It was my very first purchase of a Chinese contemporary artist. And just a little side note, I mean, this is actually the difference between Chinese artists and Western artists. Chinese artists in school, they have to replicate all the masters, right? So technically, from technique perspective, they're very, very well trained. And so this is the kind of stuff they're able to do before they then go into, you know, abstract or, you know, doing weird squares and shapes and stuff like that. So, you know, Chinese artists go through a lot of training. This wallpaper of mine is Coal and Sun. Again, it's got a little bit of gold, which matches my yellow. And then over here, you'll see that, you know, I have some spirits and right, Maltai. This is the most prized liquor in China right now. This little bottle has gone up like 50% at least in price over the last 2-3 years. This is like 3,000 something kwai now, which is $400-500 US. And so you do want to display wines because wines are fire. You know, wines are expensive, high-end, and so they also bring good high-end energy into your home. 3 tips for the dining room. Number 1, you want to have an even number of chairs. Remember, all about symmetry and evenness and balance in Feng Shui. Number 2, with your dining table, float it in the middle of the room. So you don't want to have your dining table pressed up against a wall because that shows that there's no space for additional guests to come. And tip 3 is that if you live in this open area living plan, like a loft or, you know, an apartment where living room and dining room one space, divide it, okay? You want to have this demarcation of areas. Now let's check out the kitchen. First of all, over here we have a pocket door to save space because the space here is pretty tight, and it's glass because there's no natural sunlight in the kitchen, unfortunately. And then come on in, and this feels pretty good. So the things you should look out for is that you don't want any water-based things to be facing any fire-based things. So a fire-based thing would be the stove, right? Here's a stove. And you can see over here the fire-based thing is actually facing another fire-based thing, which is the oven and the microwave. So those two are aligned, which is good. Because what you don't want is, like, you know, for the sink to be facing the stove. That would not be so good. Oh, this is kind of fun. So this is by a Chinese artist called Guo Hongwei. This is an ancient character for the word family. Yeah. So, you know, he gifted this to me on my birthday a few years ago, and I decided to hang it up in the kitchen. Just really with it. So over here I have this little, I mean, it's kind of a hodgepodge of a room, but I always like to have separate bathrooms. So I have 2 guest bathrooms. This is a really cute one. This is a small space. And this room, I'm in the process of redoing it, but it's kind of become like a little cloakroom. I mean, I like to have a space where guests come in, they have a place to put their stuff down, wash their hands, and rest, you know, take any calls they need to do, you know, check whatever, check their makeup. And this is the room for them to do that before we then move out. Ooh, and I'm going to show you a really good Feng Shui thing. That little Maotai, the little liquor I just showed you, this is like a magnum, double magnum, triple magnum, whatever size bottle of it that we actually finished a few months ago, but I kept the box because it's good Feng Shui. Okay, now I have a 4.5 bedroom. Maybe I'll show you what's down here. This is a guest bedroom, but I'm redoing it. So I like to put this on at the end of this because it's such a statement piece, and you almost feel like you're going down into this tunnel. And it's bright pink, which lightens up this otherwise kind of dark area. This is by a Chinese artist called Wang Yi, who's, for those of you that may know Chinese contemporary art, his dad is like best friends with Ding Yi. Ding Yi stuff sells for millions. So you can see kind of the color elements of it. And I like to have the host area and the guest area separate. So this is a guest bedroom, which has windows actually that open out onto my little alley. It's almost like a muse house. So basically my house in Shanghai, it's like a Shanghai version of a muse house of London. And then over here, this is really messy, guys. I don't even know if I should show you, but this is where I keep, you know, some bags, some boots, and I'm in the process of moving some stuff. So but it's very important to have a storeroom, and whatever mess you have, you know, keep it contained in a separate area. The point of Feng Shui is the less stuff the better, which I think is also really in line with Marie Kondo, less clutter. But also, you know, I mean, it's fine to have mess. We all have some messy stuff. I have boxes, this and that, but just keep them contained. Keep them in a messy room. So Feng Shui 101. Feng Shui is comprised of two Chinese characters. Feng means wind and Shui means water. So wind and water. Why these two elements? Well, because wind and water are the two natural elements that flow, move, and circulate around the earth. And the concept of Feng Shui originates from Taoist spiritual philosophy, which goes back 2,000 years. There are 5 elements of Feng Shui. 金木水火土. 金 means metal, 木 is wood, 水 is water, 火 is fire, and 土 is the earth. Now, the optimal placement of these 5 elements is determined by the energy map of our space, which is called the Ba Gua. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, what the heck does this mean? So I'm gonna put it in layman's terms. The goal of Feng Shui is to invite positive qi into your life so that you feel both energized and well-balanced. It's basically creating positive vibes for your house. So the calculations really depend on the exact space and also your 八字. Ba is 8 zi is a character. So it's the 8 characters that show the year, month, date, and time of your birth. So these things need to be matched together to give you precise calculations. However, there are some general guidelines, which is what I'm going to show you right now. One important general principle in Feng Shui is to check your commanding position. Basically, this is the position of your most important pieces of furniture. So for example, your bed, this represents you, the position of your desk, this represents your career, and the position of your stove, which represents your wealth. Ka-ching, ka-ching. Okay, I know what you're thinking. It's really hard to move your stove, but it's pretty easy to move your bed or your desk. The main thing here is that you should be able to see your door when you're using these items. So when you're sitting in your bed, can you see your door? When you're sitting at your desk, can you see your door? You shouldn't be directly in line with your door, but you definitely should not have your back to it either. All this comes into play so you can receive optimal positive energy. The basic principles of Feng Shui recommend natural light and cross ventilation. That's why we do not want dark areas. We do not want areas that gets no natural air because that breeds negativity and yin energy, which also attracts ghosts and illness. Spooky, right? Another important Feng Shui principle is to keep things clean. This is not only good for your mental clarity, but also is good for your interior design. And right on point with Marie Kondo, which by the way, if you haven't seen my interview with Marie Kondo, go check it out. In Feng Shui, clutter takes up valuable space, which is what incoming energy needs. So clean your workspace every day. This is something that I make all of my staff do at the office. It'll create order and make you feel less stressed. What are some other easy cleans for a big impact? Well, your windows, they're considered the eyes to your home. Keeping things clean also means that you should declutter the entryway. In Feng Shui, your entryway shows the way energy enters into your home and life, so you want to make a good first impression. You saw my door, my entryway, super clean, no shoes, no polyps, no nothing. Do whatever you can to make the space inviting, and you always want to have a coat rack where you hang coats, an umbrella stand where umbrellas go, a shoe closet where shoes go. It's important that all these items have a place that they call home because they hold energy for you beyond your life and home. So for example, outside my door, I had doormat that said peace, and next to it I have an umbrella stand where all umbrellas go in. As soon as you come in, right by the door, I have 2 shoe closets where you can hang clothes, guests can hang clothes, and guests can put their shoes. Another big principle is make sure you remove obstacles of any pathways in your home. Think about when you are walking through your study, going to your bedroom. Are you always tripping over this table or this chair? Then take it out of the way. If you need to rearrange the whole layout, efficiency. Feng Shui is all about efficiency, and you do not want any obstacles that are blocking your path. All right, guys, so that is my Feng Shui lesson for your home now. Hope you guys found it handy, took good notes, and will immediately start implementing positive changes to your home for better qi and better reinvigoration and relaxation. Let me know in the comments below what tip you are gonna go do immediately, straight away, or what thing you've been doing wrong for the past number of years. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe to my channel, and stay tuned for the next video. Bye, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll be posting a new video each week who have tips and tricks that I think will help all of us lead a better life.